Hello, everybody, and welcome to our first of the Star Wars Visions episode reviews. We were talking about episode one, The Duel, which was made by Kamikaze Douga. It is a studio that was responsible for stuff like Batman Ninja. If you've seen that, I recommend it. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I really liked it. Anyways, this is the first episode of the show. It was really heavily featured in all the trailers, and it is a Kurosawa style, very much in line with something like Yojimbo or some early parts of Seven Samurai style Star Wars action duel, as the title implies. There are some twists and turns that you don't really expect coming, at least with character wise, what how they frame certain characters. But I love this one. This was such a great way to kick off the show. It really encapsulates what the show is like. It is a strongly influenced episode by Japanese culture and Japanese history. It is, when it comes to Visions as an alternate take on things, this is definitely an alternate take, alternate world version, very much so in line with what comics do with something like Elseworlds version of something we are familiar with. So it is very feudal Japan inspired, Jedi and Sith. Well, there actually is no Jedi in this because the duelist, our main character, I forgot what his name is. I think they just call him the Ronin. We are
Right.
getting a book about him, by the way. But they are. He is just he is also a Sith. We didn't. I did not expect that. I assumed he was just going to be a Jedi, and he was going to be fighting the Sith. But this one looks immaculate. The way they do the black and white. I was my one main criticism of Batman Ninja was I wasn't a huge fan of some of the ways they frame the animation style. The studio does a combination of 2D and 3D animation, and it's cell shaded. So at times it can look really clunky. A lot of dialogue scenes look really clunky, especially when you have a character like Batman where you don't see his eyes or his face, you just see his mouth. The mouth movements looked really odd. They don't have much expression to the faces, but I felt like in this, the way they shade it with the black and white, it looks so much better. It's really well done. And the way they shade like the droid with the with the minigun was amazing. The lightsaber umbrella was really cool. The way they have like all these different attachments for their lightsabers in this one. The R2 droid with a straw hat was really cool. It was, yeah, there was a lot of really neat stuff. It felt like my favorite episode of The Mandalorian, which was the Jedi with Ahsoka last season. It felt like that, but then actually set in feudal Japan, where that was meant to look like a Star Warsy version of feudal Japan. No, this is straight up feudal Japan, but the only difference is they have lightsabers and blasters and and droids. And so it's such a great way to kick off the show. I'm gonna let you get into your thoughts on it, but I genuinely really like this one, and it's definitely, I don't know if it's in my top two or three, but it's like right, it's definitely in the top half of the show for me. There's not too much depth here in terms of story or character, but there is a lot of depth in visuals and translation and the action scenes. It's probably my favorite action scenes in the whole series.
Right. I mean, I think the duel is the perfect thing or the perfect starting episode for Visions. I mean, these are all short films. They're not really connected in any way. Even the studios that got to do two episodes just did not connect their stuff together, which I found pretty interesting because I thought maybe there'd be a chance of like some sort of symbolic connection or thematic connection, but there really wasn't. But that being said, I think the duel, right, is like it really harkens back to how so much of Star Wars visually and you know symbolically is tied down to the Japanese um, filmmaking and just Japanese traditions and the samurai stories and all that. Um, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, uh, Toshiro Mifune was George Lucas's first choice for Darth Vader, and he turned down obviously George Lucas, and we got a little bit more of the iconic face mask. So I guess there were some benefits to it. because you can't really hide Mifune's face behind it. But I mean, it makes me think to see like what would be a very like scarred and heavy and mysteriously looking Mifune just using his eyes and emoting as the samurai as we're known, but as a villain. But yeah, like you said, going to the whole villain point, I was not expecting him to pull out like a red lightsaber. I was like, oh, okay, like the guy's mannerisms are pretty clean. Like he's blunt, but like not like in a hurtful way. He's got a droid, and he is very kind to it as well. It seemed like he gives money without question to people, and it just seemed like he was just. I mean, he's like it leaned a little bit into like how Western films influence samurai films and how samurai films influence Western films with the man with no name walking into town. He's got very gray morals, and you can't really pinpoint who he is. And I mean that's also in samurai films, but it felt like that was them trying to do their interpretation of like a little bit of Western influence that we're very strongly evident in like Clint Eastwood and John Wayne films. Um, yeah, I mean it was a really strong and fun episode to kick us off with. Um, I mean I can't really say much more. I really like the fighting style. I really like the Imperial troop transport, just like how it just bum rushed the whole village that was like basically bigger than, and then the whole twist was really nice, and the fact that he's carrying all these different Sith lightsabers, meaning that he kills other Sith. Um, and I don't know if he's a Sith himself. That's not clear. He's just a Ronin. But it was a fun duel. It was really interesting seeing an umbrella lightsaber. Um, I like how it used to. It was like how in Rebels, the Inquisitor lightsabers like let people glide away. Like this one felt a little bit more practical. Like gives you a little bit of hover for your landing. And there were so many more lightsabers, but I mean, besides that, I can't really say much about it. I like the art and animation, I do, but I know what it's working towards, and it really hits it. But it's not necessarily my favorite animation style. But I really do appreciate it. So overall, the duel was a good episode and a strong start to Visions.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I like that you brought up the point about all the crystals he has at the end in his vest. It seems like he is it all I got very much so the vibes kind of like the way he defeats the other Sith, and in that little temple, and he bows to the statue of whatever it is. I wasn't quite sure where he got that second lightsaber. It might be, was it in the temple itself? It might have been, because it almost seems like he's somebody who is Sith but believes in like a different version of the Sith that's more spiritual, while these other people went off and did their own more power hungry version of the Sith. It was cool. It's a cool take on the mythology, and I'm a lot more interested in reading the book now, having seen the episode, than I originally was. So that's our review for the Duel. It's a great episode to start off with. If you guys are just getting into Visions or trying to pick and choose which ones to watch, definitely watch the Duel. It is really a really really solid episode. So stay tuned for the rest of our episode reviews. We're doing a couple a day every day until we get through all nine, so check out all those. We also did a general review of Star Wars Visions that was up on Wednesday, so you can check that out, as well as comics on Wednesday. And then Friday we're doing episode 46 of Star Wars Lads, so stay tuned for all of that. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Star Wars Lads. And then, as always, like and comment down below. Let us know what you thought of the Duel. Let us know what we thought of Star Wars Visions as a whole, and then subscribe to the channel for a lot more Star Wars Visions content. Hit that notification bell so you know whenever a new Star Wars Lads video comes out. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you all on the next review.